For the second set review video, I'm going to go ahead and cover all of the miscellaneous cards for this set. For the fact that most of them are purple, rather than cover them with the Demon Lords, I figured they might have additional application elsewhere. If you enjoy this type of content or find it helpful, do consider liking this video, sharing it, and hitting that subscribe button for more of my future content. For the first card for this video, I'm going over Tsukaimon, a simple Digimon that has an on-deletion effect that deletes one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon. It's inheritable as opponent's turn, once per turn when an opponent's Digimon attacks. By deleting one of your other Digimon, end the attack. We've now converted Belphimon's Sleep Mode's effect into an inheritable, but at the cost of one of your Digimon. With some other Digimon, the interaction is mildly amusing, but more on that when we get there in the future. Demidevimon also returns, with an on-deletion of if your opponent has 5 or fewer cards in their hand, draw 1 and trash 1 card in your hand. If your opponent has 7 or more cards in your hand, your opponent trashes 1 card in their hand. This builds on the Barbamon hand destruction I was mentioning in the last video. As an evil target, you could also have a search for this off of Ian Mako, but nothing concrete really builds in that direction in my mind right now. Moving to Boogimon, on play, you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck and add 1 card with Fallen Angel or Demon Lord in its traits, and 1 purple option card among them to the hand. Return the rest to the bottom, and if you added cards, trash 1 card in your hand. Pretty typical of purple, adding cards to hand, and if you did, trash 1. It's not terrible. Both this card and the demidevimon have an all-turns effect that give a DP buff of plus 1000 DP, while your opponent has 6 or fewer cards in their hand. But with Witchmon, she claims the same inheritable as Tsukaimon to delete one of your other Digimon to end the attack. This Digimon has an on-play when digivolving effect that by trashing 1 card in your hand, until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gains end of attack, delete this Digimon. In regards to how this effect would work against something like Magnamon X, it unfortunately doesn't. While the Digimon does gain end of attack and it would now have an effect on the Digimon itself, the effect gained was by an opponent's effect, meaning it falls off at the end of attack after security check. Moving back to Devimon, this Digimon has an on-plane when digivolving effect that if your opponent has 5 or fewer cards in their hand, delete one of their level 3 Digimon. If your opponent has 7 or more, they trash 1 card in their hand. Pretty simple again with hand destruction, and the same complementing all turns inheritable effect as demidevimon and Boogimon. Chaosmon is a level 5 blocker that when digivolving and on deletion, if your opponent has 5 or fewer cards in their hand, gain 1 memory. If your opponent has 7 or more cards in their hand, your opponent trashes 1 card in their hand. The inheritable effect is similar in that when attacking once per turn, your opponent may trash 1 card in their hand. If they don't, you may play 1 purple level 3 Digimon card from your trash without paying the cost. There's a lot of hand control with these cards so far, and I'm honestly here for it. Barbamon is the last Demon Lord to be released, and Bandai has to do something to make it work. But keep in mind, there was one other Digimon that started the whole aspect of hand destruction, and this Digimon is also going to be making a return. Neodevimon has an on-plane when digivolving effect that if your opponent has 5 or fewer cards in their hand, delete one of their level 4 or lower Digimon. If your opponent has 7 or more cards, you guessed it, your opponent trashes 1 card in their hand. On deletion, if your opponent has 10 or more cards in their trash, you may play 1 dandevimon from your trash without paying the cost. Yo, new support? Let's go. The inheritable is the same as Chaosmon, allowing you to potentially play a free level 3 Digimon. Remember, when I review these cards, I do my best not to look up interactions or anything like that yet with existing cards in Japan. Instead, it's largely an initial first impression on whether the card has any other interactions that come to mind. With these inheritables, largely they're in combination with the level 3s that can let you delete another Digimon to end the attack. Useful when looking at cards like, I don't know, Magnamon X since it affects the attack, not the Digimon. Speaking of which, Bastamon has the new scapegoat effect, that when this Digimon would be deleted by your effects, by deleting one of your other Digimon, prevent that deletion. When digivolving, you may play 1 purple level 3 Digimon card from your trash without paying cost. Simple, and if you need that floodgate, go for it. It's inheritable as an opponent's turn, once per turn. When an opponent's Digimon is deleted, you may play 1 purple level 4 or lower Digimon from your trash without paying the cost. Set up for Chaosmon Ace? kinda funny. And the last purple card, of course, goes to a new dandevimon. This Digimon has an on play, and when Digi-evolving effect that deletes one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. If this effect didn't delete, your opponent trashes one card in their hand. Comparatively, I love dandevimon from BT4 still. Granted, it's a bit more expensive. But also on your turn, while your opponent has 5 or fewer cards in their hand, this Digimon gains Rush and Security Attack +1. On one hand, you've got a security for security relationship with BT4, and with this one, you have Rush and extra aggro. The only issue? You'll want to try and get that hand as small as possible on your opponent. It's viable, but I don't think it'll be extremely competitive. The last Digimon for this episode is ultimatechaosmon, a white level 7 Digimon that can DNA Digivolve from a yellow or black level 6 Digimon, and a green or purple level 6 Digimon. Keep in mind, you cannot DNA explicitly with just a yellow and a black Digimon. The requirements are all on the left, and then all in the right. But you could just straight Digivolve to this Digimon from any of those colors for 7 memory. It's a shame that this Digimon doesn't Digivolve from a Chaosmon for like 1 or 2 memory. When Digivolving, if DNA Digivolving, you may place up to 2 level 6 cards from your trash as this Digimon's bottom Digivolution cards. Then for each level 6 card, return one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the deck. For removal, it's alright, but against Digimon with immunity and protection based effects, it's not going to do much. Like Chaosmon from the most recent set, it has Partition, but for a yellow-black level 6, and a green-purple level 6. Meaning when the stack is removed outside of battle, you get to play 2 level 6s. Lastly, it has a Your Turn effect that while this Digimon has 4 or more level 6 cards in the Digivolution cards, it gains Security Attack +3 and Piercing. Considering this Digimon can be Digivolved into via HPD, now you need to figure out ways to tuck 3 more sources under the Digimon. But jokes aside, there's one more way to do it. The last card for this video is a new 4-cost white option card that is called Mega Digimon Assembly, which on initial naming schemes brings back a lot of memories. Mega Digimon Assembly's color requirements can be ignored if your opponent has a level 6 or higher Digimon. Main, one of your level 6 Digimon, and 1 card in the hand may DNA Digivolve into a level 7 Digimon card in your hand. When you think about it, this card is ultimately going to pave the way for DNA Ace Digimon. Because when you DNA Blast Digivolve, you can use the DNA with the other source from the hand. This option card takes that ability. For some older Digimon, this also helps them achieve their DNA much more quickly and efficiently. The security, on the other hand, lets you return 1 level 6 or higher Digimon card from your trash to the hand, then add this card to your hand. Considering a lot of decks in the upcoming format will be turboing into a level 6, this card has some potential use, whether your top end is going to be Ordynmon or even Ragnalordmon. While not too crazy for the up-and-coming format, a lot of these miscellaneous cards that I covered today definitely aligned well with the Demon Lords from the last video. But what else does Infernal Ascension have to offer? What are cards that aren't for purple players? Stay tuned, because I go through each and every one of them this week. This is DIGI-PANDA, logging out.